Hey guys, Vijay here, your Azure and Citrix architect and trainer. So we are going to go and look at today a small discussion on Azure virtual machine sizes, and we'll also look at how do we change the size of a virtual machine in Azure. So before we get into a quick discussion and see what are the different sizes available. Let us take a scenario, okay? So let us say you deployed a VM with, let us say, two virtual CPUs and let us say 4 GB of RAM and some X number of disks. And for today's requirement, that fits for you. I mean, that fits for your current requirement. That's what I mean. Now, over the period of time, you got to go and increase the resources on the server. So you got a demand of additional resources that could be either CPU or memory or both of them, or even some additional disks. So will Azure allow you to do that? If that is a question, yes is the answer. So Azure will allow you to go and change the size of the VM. It's not only increasing the size, but you can also decrease it. That we call it as scale up and scale down. That is called as scaling, right? Vertical scaling. So when you increase the size of the VM, we call it as scale up. When you decrease, we call it as scale down. That's called as vertical scaling. So now let us try to understand what are the different sizes. Can I have my own custom size? The answer is no. So you need to go and pick one of the sizes that which are readily available. Azure categorizes different VMs sizes based on the size of the VM and where does they actually fit, right? So they have different families of VMs. Call it as general purpose. They have compute optimized. This is also called as, you can also call it as CPU optimized. They have memory optimized. They have a category called as storage optimized. And they have VM sizes of category called as GPU. And they also have another category called as high performance compute. And there is another family of sizes which is called as confidential compute. These are the different sizes. So when you want to go and deploy a VM of a specific size, you may have to know, that falls under which category, right? Whether it will fall under general purpose category where the CPU and memory ratio will be same. These sizes can be used, the sizes under this category can be used for the development environment, testing environment, or production workloads where you don't need much resources, kind of. And if you got a requirement of more CPU for the apps that which you are going to host on the VM, then you can go and look at the sizes under compute optimized. And similarly, if you have a requirement of what do you call it as more memory on the server, then you can go and look at sizes under memory optimized. So as your storage, so as your GPU, where you may want to go and use servers that requires for graphical processing or editing the videos and so on. And then you have something called as high performance compute where you get servers of huge resources, which means that high-end servers with greater CPU and memory capacity, and of course disk as well. And then confidential computing, which is basically used for the category of servers where they are categorized as confidential compute. So when we look at the sizes in their documentation, in Azure documentation, size under each family, they also call it as type. Under each family, you have different series, right? Different sizes of different series. You can call it as D series, B series under general purpose, and F series under compute optimized, and then E series and D series under memory optimized, L series under storage optimized, N series under GPU optimized, H series under high performance compute. I don't see this confidential compute here, sizes. I'm not sure if that is documented somewhere else, but these are the different sizes. So when I look at the sizes and the general purpose, as the documentation says, the CPU and memory ratio is balanced. Here you get more CPU to the memory. Here you get more memory to the CPU, and you get better throughput in the storage optimized. And these VMs under GPU are specialized for graphical related work, and then high-end compute, right? Most powerful CPU and then high-end network interfaces you will get here, right? Now, whether it is Linux or whether it is Windows, you will be having similar size, similar kind of sizes. Now, when you deploy a virtual machine in Azure, right, so you will be picking what size you want to go and choose, right? So when you are deploying the virtual machine, here is the option where you will specify what size you want to go with. And you can pick the size from that select size option where you can click on this see all sizes to look at all the different sizes which are available. Now here you see around 336 different sizes, and you may pick one of the size that which fits for your requirement. You can filter it based on family. Maybe you want to go and look at general purpose, GPU optimized or whatsoever, or maybe on the category of premium disks, size and so on. So you can just filter it and choose the right size that whatever you want. So every family, whether it is general purpose or optimized, memory optimized or CPU optimized, you have different VM sizes of different category. Under D series, if you look at DS1V2, it is coming, the size comes with one virtual CPU and 3.5 GB of RAM, and you can assign 4 data disks, which means that apart from operating system disk, you can assign additional 4 disks. And then you see the IOPS of the disk and the temporary storage that which gets allocated to the VM, how much it is, and whether it supports a premium disk or not. So when you deploy the VM, you select the size from here. And let us say you deployed a VM and then size of the VM is standard DS1V2 that which you picked. And tomorrow your requirement might be different, and then you got a requirement to go and change the size. Now under the VM properties, you see here, where is that? Resize the VM option should be there where, yeah, so the size option, right, which will help you to go and change the size of the VM. Now you can see here current size is standard DS1V2. You can go and pick some other size which is B2MS maybe, or some other size as per your requirement. Now, but what you need to know is changing the size, there might be an outage, which means that the VM might get rebooted. You need to make sure that you are taking this VM, taking off the VM gracefully, and then you upgrade it, which means that there should be a change management in place, which will help you to get away from unplanned outages, right? So you select the size that whatever you want, but before that, make sure that you are shutting down the VM gracefully, right? Now, assume that I did take the VM off, and then I'll select I select the newer size, and then I'll click on resize. Now it takes a minute or so to kind of change the size of the VM. Now you should be able to see the current size getting changed in a while from DS1V2 to V2S, right? So you can change it from here and make sure that you are taking off the server gracefully. So it says that if your virtual machine is currently running, changing the size of The size will cause it to be restarted, right? So that's what there's an information here for you, and just to make sure that you are aware of that. Now you can see the resizing of the VM is done. Now this size is changed to standard B2S, right? And if you want to again revert it back, maybe you want to reduce it, then you can go and pick another size and reduce it as per your requirement, right? So that's how you can increase and decrease the size of the VM. And that's not only for Windows VM on which we are right now, it can also be done on the Linux virtual machine. That's all I have for today, and I wish you have a great day ahead. Thank you, thanks you for listening, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Thank you.